It's the 7th of July, 2026. Big day today. It's my wife's birthday. So I've got to be on my best behavior. But there's a lot going on. I said yesterday about give them bread and circuses, and they will not revolt. And we're seeing nothing more than circuses at the moment at the World Cup. And what happened yesterday with the news that Donald Trump had requested the review of a red card of one of the US players, a completely unprecedented case. The minute I heard it, my first thought was distraction, distraction, distraction. Because when you get something as obvious as that, where everybody's talking about it, you get distracted from what's really going on. And it's so easy to distract people. With the World Cup, with everything that's going on, it's the biggest circus in town. And everybody gets completely distracted by what's going on and completely, it's almost like a World Cup bubble where anything else in the world, whether it's the bombing of Lebanon, whether it's the bombing of Gaza, whether it's the Straits of Hormuz, they don't care because the football's on. But outside of that football bubble, there's a world that's moving forward. And we're seeing the old system being dismantled right now in plain sight. And we're here to keep you up to date with what's really going on in the world and not the football scores. Drew.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, everyone, and happy birthday to myself, Charlie. First up, FBI Director Kash Patel says investigators discovered a previously undisclosed room at FBI headquarters containing thousands of documents linked to the Trump-Russia investigation. Reports circulating online now claim that the cache may also include records relating to Seth Rich. Although those claims have not yet been independently confirmed, Patel says the documents are being reviewed and declassified.
Well, this is all part of the awakening process. We brought this story to you probably a year ago now, and the world wasn't ready for it. So it's being brought back to your attention so that you really get a grip of what's going on. To have a secret room in the FBI, which nobody seemed to know about, where they kept dossiers, documents, evidence that nobody should know anything about. Even that in itself makes you ask questions. Why would you do that in an FBI, which is an investigation unit? Yes, you'll have specialized units. I get that. But to have secret places where nobody knows that even exist, and it's long overdue. And it takes men with integrity to expose this, because the powers behind this, you have no idea. The powers behind this are truly evil. And when you go up against evil, you need to be very, very strong. And at the moment, we're watching the whole system be dismantled. And that leads on to my next story, where the rhinos, the Republicans in name only, are in complete and utter panic mode right now because Mitch McConnell is on his deathbed. And they don't want him to die just yet. They need him to stay alive until I think it is August the 3rd. This is how cynical they are. Because if he dies before August the 3rd, they have to have a special election to elect a new person in his place. And it's very hard for them now to find people that sympathize with their views, because their views are so outdated, so archaic, that the world has woken up. And whilst the world's waking up and the light is shining in a dark place, they've got nowhere to hide. So this is a very difficult time for the rhinos. They're being exposed. And, of course, we'll see exactly what happens. But there's so much going on right now behind the scenes, but nobody talks about it publicly. And that's why we bring the news to you daily. True.
Next up, speaking of exposure, the DOJ has charged 455 defendants in a nationwide healthcare fraud crackdown involving more than $6.5 billion in alleged fraud. The cases include fraudulent Medicare claims, kickback, opioid schemes, and unnecessary medical procedures. Is this the beginning of a much bigger cleanup? Charlie, you know all about this.
Well, this is something that was brought to the attention of the world, if you like, when we were in Miami, and we've tried to bring attention to it because of the fact that there's been so much fraud that's going on, and thank God that finally these people are going to be held accountable. It's long, long overdue, and all of this fraud that's been going on, you can't even start to imagine. It's beyond comprehension. The amount of fraud that's gone on with Medicare, Medicaid, all of these schemes, and they've all been laundering money and filtering money through the system whilst killing people. I mean, they're truly evil, and the world needs to see it, but it has to be dripped out carefully because it is so extreme that you can't even get a grip on what's gone on. My next story is, it's going to be a very interesting week this week because obviously Donald Trump is heading off to NATO, an organization that he is dismantling from the inside out and pretending to be their friend. This is going to be a fun one to watch. There's so much going on. And of course, NATO was created originally to provide peace against the Soviet Union when it was being dismantled. And it's no longer really has a purpose. So it's changed its role, if you like, as a peacekeeper into a warmonger. And that's why we're in so much trouble in the world, because they create war after war after war because it creates funding for them. And I'm going to leave you with my final story. It's to do with MK Ultra, which is now becoming into the public domain. For those people who know, MK stands for mind control. Ultra is all part of it. And they even used a K instead of C for control, to deceive. When you go and speak to people in power that are involved with MK Ultra and you ask them the question, what does MK Ultra stand for? They tell you it stands for the Office of Technical Service. Where they get the MK from, but they get away with these lies to your face. When you start looking into MK Ultra, it'll blow your mind. But I'm going to ask you to step back and look from the outside in. Maybe you're under MK Ultra without even knowing it because of your addiction to Meta. That's mind control. Imagine if they turned off Facebook, Instagram, all of these. Imagine if that was all turned off. There's a number of people watching here that would go into meltdown. I'll leave you with that thought. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
These are the facts, not put out by mainstream media. If you want to know the truth, we put out the truth every single day, Monday to Friday. So if you want to know the truth, come to charlieward.com and see real news daily. And join the Insiders Club, which is live on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Global tensions are rising, markets are unstable, and currencies keep losing value. While governments print more money, smart investors are moving into physical gold and silver. Assets that have protected wealth for centuries. That's why more people are turning to Charlie's Gold to secure their future before the next financial shakeup hits. Don't leave your wealth exposed. Own something real, own gold and silver. Visit charlies.gold today.